All right. Good morning, Acadiana. Episode 60 of the Schulte Cast. I did upload them to Spotify yesterday. I have to fill in the blanks there, and I didn't do the video stuff. That's it. That's a bad job by me. So we will do that here today. Are we still getting rain today? Let me see what the deal is there. Kind of been raining, like not heavy, although. And I live a couple blocks from the corner bar. It didn't seem to rain by me a couple of days ago, and was raining down by Pete's. Today seems a little clear, actually. All right. Kind of cool, too. Is this high of 85 or high of 88? Is that right? And not a lot of rain. Wow. Okay. Meanwhile, upstate New York is in heat wave again. 93. Crazy. All right. We'll be up there next week. All right. Obviously, a ton to talk about today. We'll get to this here in a second. Not in a second, in a couple of minutes. Are the Ragin Cajuns overrated? We did that on Lockdown Sunbelt because they have win total is 8.5. Odds to begin with was plus 550 when it opened. People are thinking highly of the Cajuns. The people who set the lines are. I happen to think that's more about the teams that are playing, because you either have a new quarterback or a new coach-ish. Like South Alabama doesn't, has a new quarterback, but he's been there. New coach, but he's been there. So that's different than, what Troy has. Got a new coach and new quarterback. But the big news of the night yesterday was Willie Mays passing away. 93-year-old. That hits a little hard because the judge passed away at 93. Good run. And they're doing all this, this Rickwood Classic, which they do every year in Birmingham, but the big leagues are coming there, right? Like usually the Barons are the only ones playing there. The Barons played there last night. And I think the big leagues are playing tomorrow. Let's see. I think the Giants are playing there tomorrow. Let me see. Scores, schedule. Let's see here. Let's see if it says Thursday. Let's see the Giants. Oh, maybe it is. Oh, that's Friday. No, we need Thursday. Okay. No, maybe it is tonight. It is today. I don't see San Francisco. No, it is Thursday because that's on Fox. Yes. It's the Giants against St. Louis I'm pretty sure in Rickwood. That's not today. No. It is tomorrow. So, and this was a lot had to do with Willie Mays, and they're celebrating Willie Mays, and then they had to announce it at the game, or they announced it at the game that he had passed away, and he got a standing ovation. John Miller announced it on the radio. Well, I'm not sure how John Miller announced it, and maybe he was doing it on TV. Let me see. Dave Fleming do it on TV. KNBR had it yesterday. Is KR still doing a live stream right now? Oh, that just began. Or maybe they were doing it with Willie passing away. Well, apparently, obviously, he wasn't going to be in Rickwood, and it's for those who don't know, right? These things are put together well in advance. ESPN just doesn't slap something together, a 6.5-minute tribute to Willie Mays, in 30 minutes. It's kind of raring to go, unfortunately. So Dave Fleming was in the visitors' radio booth at Wrigley Field the moment the report of Willie Mays passing was made public. I thought I heard John Miller do it. Was John Miller doing the TV? Okay, maybe John Miller was doing TV. John Miller took a moment. This is NBC. Yeah, so maybe John Miller was on TV. Okay. Instead of on radio. Okay. because they both said it at the same time. And that's I think John Miller, I don't know if John Miller was just happened to be talking about Rick Wood and he found out about Willie Mays 5 minutes before 5 minutes. Fleming had issues getting it out. And, having done this before, you can tell when a broadcaster who is paying attention stops paying attention. And he was paying attention to something else. And it took a little bit of time. I think he got it during the first batter of the inning. The inning was pretty quick. Missed a pitch or called it the wrong way because he wasn't paying attention, because he's paying attention to the news that he got. Either someone handed him something or someone saw a tweet or whatever the case was, and he's trying to confirm it. I think the Giants are the ones who announced it. So it took him a little bit of time to get to it. Rich Waltz doing the Rickwood Classic in Birmingham. He had issues saying it, as you can imagine. And he was one of the great ones, right? We're, talking baseball, Terry Cashman, the song, each verse ends, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, and people remember that from this, he did another one for The Simpsons back in the day, King Griffey's grotesquely large head or something like that. So Willie May, I mean, not to get morbid or anything like that, but these things do happen in threes, right? So you get Bill Walton a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Willie Mays now. Lay low. So hopefully we don't lose another legend here anytime soon. But, generally speaking, Willie Mays was, considered like the best player to ever play, right? He was a combination of power and speed that these other guys weren't, right? He had more speed than Hank Aaron, almost as much power as Babe Ruth. I did not realize, and as someone who appreciates baseball history, I didn't realize he got to the big leagues and then went to Jerry West. That's it. So that's 3. Oh, so maybe he is the 3rd. Art, bringing it up. There you go. Jerry West also passed away. Thanks for watching, Art. There you go. So that's Walton, West, and Willie. I did not realize that he went right into the war. Like, he came up in 51 from the Negro Leagues and then went to enlisted. I don't think he ever went overseas. I think they mentioned he played baseball on the base in Virginia, but he missed 2 years of big league baseball, came back in 54, and that's when they won the championship. Beat Cleveland, right, in 54. I don't think I've ever met Willie Mays. So back in the day, when I was an intern at USA Network and the baseball card craze was just going, that was the year that Upper Deck came out. So it would have been the summer of 89. Actually went to the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's Yaz and Bench and Al Barlick and Red Shandy got inducted. I fell in love with Willie McCovey because the man is a monster. He is an enormous man. The funny part was, it's different today than it was back then. You could, just the public could get up to this little chain link temporary fence. I'm not even thinking chain link, because this little dinky fence. And we got the last lounge chair, and I slept out on it all night long, probably a little chilly in July in Cooperstown. They were singing songs. And we were so disappointed because we were looking right at the stage. There was nothing blocking us until they put the American flag there. We're like, no, now we can't see. Well, you know what happened? Everybody stood up and looked right at us because that's where the flag was. I got a great picture somewhere. I lost it probably, but Willie McCovey's hands are huge. So I don't, and I got somewhere along the way, I had this great baseball, not knowing how to collect autographs, right? You're not supposed to put it on one baseball. You're supposed to put it on multiple baseballs. And I probably paid. These guys were not charging a lot of money, like $10 for a Brooks Robinson autograph. It was, these guys are trying to make a little bit of cash that they did not make, that they didn't make when they were players, right? I mean, I haven't heard it yet, but, Willie and Mickey got mixed up, crossing the gambling line of all things. Back in the day, they weren't really gambling. They were like ambassadors, if that's the right word. right? They worked in the casinos in Atlantic City to try and entice people to come in. They weren't doing the gambling. They were trying to get people to gamble. And obviously sports betting wasn't legal back in the day. And I don't even know if they were making appearances, signing autographs, but they were trying to entice people to come. And that got in the crosshairs of baseball. And I think they were temporarily banned from the game. There was no sports gambling in Atlantic City at the time, but that was the thing, right? Because, Willie and McMantle didn't make millions and millions of dollars that these guys are making now, right? Jason Tatum's going to get, on a side note, what's Jason Tatum made already? And he's going to get a $300 million extension. And what is he, 25? I mean, has Jason Tatum already made over $100 million? Let's see here. He signed a 5-year, $163 million contract. That was the first extension. What do we think he's made overall? Jason Tatum. He's 26 years old. Jason Tatum has made $120 million. He still has $71 million to go. So it's 192. So I don't know if the contract extension is just going to extend it or it wipes out those, kicks in earlier. But, he's going to make $500 million. That's insane, right? And these guys did not, right? When Babe Ruth, the story with Babe Ruth went in there to go get a raise, and the owner said, well, that's more than the president. And Babe Ruth jokingly said, probably somewhat seriously, I had a better year than the president. So these guys did make a lot of money. So they would do these shows. I did end up taking the picture that I got of the Hall of Famers. So it was Bench Yaz, Barlick, and Shandies. I got Red Shandies to sign my picture. Today, you could absolutely send it away to get Bench and Yaz to do. I think Al Barlick has passed away, so has Red Shandies for that fact of the matter. But no, I got Red, and he liked the picture. It was pretty cool. I did meet Bobby Thompson, and Bobby came to Somerset, now the AA of the Yankees, to talk about his home run. I don't think I brought up, I don't know if the sign stealing thing was out there back then. I don't even care. But Bobby looked like a young man who had put makeup on to make him look old. He still looked, to me, he looked like a kid. He didn't look like a man who had aged. He looked like a kid who had aged, right? He looked like, if you're doing like a Tom Hanks movie's getting older and it's a makeup job and it looks like that, right? That's the way Bobby Thompson was. And that was a thrill. I probably got him to sign a baseball for my dad. My dad, I think he was in his fraternity at Syracuse. And he's like, well, I'm thinking what everybody else is thinking. What if he goes deep? And then he did. So that was pretty cool. I don't think I got Willie Mays. Bob Gibson, that didn't go very well. I did an interview with Bob Gibson, and I came off as the bitter one when I thought Bob Gibson was the bitter one, and that didn't go well. But I don't think I ever personally came across Willie Mays. So I certainly would tell you if I did, but I don't think I did. Came across some cool guys. Bob Gibson came to Peoria. That was cool. And Bobby Thompson came to Somerset. So we're going to hear a bunch. I'm going to read everything that I can on Willie Mays. I learned something last night. Again, I didn't realize that Willie Mays was in the service, right? Like the guys who went in World War II. I didn't realize that. So we learn something new every day. All right. It is the Schultze cast. Appreciate you guys checking in. I appreciate you. A good call by you there. Art, Jerry West passed away. Good job by you. The talent that came out of Alabama, McCovey, Aaron Mays, to name a few. I mean, Mobile is pretty talented on its own. I think Ozzie Smith, Amos Otis. Like Mobile is a bunch of that down there. Ryan Brown of the Next Round talked about all these guys. Can you imagine? He tried to come up with a top 5 athlete born in Alabama. Let's see. It was not easy. I thought he did it. When did he do it? Maybe it's on a reply. Oh, here you go. The passing of Willie Mays made me think of the best Alabama-born athletes. Just a stab at the top 5. Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Bo Jackson, Ozzie Newsome, Jesse Owens. I mean, you can't, tough to go better than that. Okay. Now, who didn't make it? Barkley, Joe Louis, Willie McCovey, John Hanna, Satchel Paige, and Bart Starr. My goodness. All right. Then someone else put in there Evander Holyfield, Mia Hamm, Frank Thomas, Ozzie Smith. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Pretty good. Just out of the state of Alabama. That's a pretty neat list. I did meet Cleon Jones. He came through. He came through for a different reason. He was doing something. He had a book, and also he's a descendant. There's a whole thing about that back in Mobile. But Cleon was great. Cleon was as sharp as it gets. I think Cleon came on when Hank Aaron passed away. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. All right. That was a pretty neat experience for me. And then he came in and he sat down and we talked about the Mets for a half an hour. Older guy, obviously older gentleman, but still sharp as a tack, right? May not get around as quick as he used to, but he had no problem. I can't remember where I put my keys, and he's talking about things that happened in the 60s and the 70s. So that was a lot of fun. All right, Schulte Cast, episode 60. Are the Ragin' Cajuns overrated? I only say that because the people who are rating them, the sports books, have them as one of the favorites to win the Sun Belt. Although, oddly enough, App State has a win total of 7.5, whereas JMU, Texas State, and the Cajuns have 8.5 win totals. And App State is favored to win the Sun Belt. That's kind of strange. And so the Cajuns, again, 8.5 win total. App State was like plus 350. And Texas State and the Cajuns were plus 550. That's changed. That came out a few weeks ago. That's changed a little bit now that people have bet on it. But you look at it, and again, we talked about this a little bit. It's not only about the Cajuns, right? Because they got their 2 quarterbacks back. All right. I think there was a ceiling with Chandler Fields, but I don't think the floor is that low. And I think there's a ceiling with Ben Rodgers. I think they're good college quarterbacks. I don't think they're nearly as dynamic as Zion Chris. And we'll see what about Samari Collier. He kind of showed out, in spring ball. I don't think he's going to start to begin with because you're going to want somebody. Checking out the schedule last night, it starts with Grambling at home and then at Kennesaw State, which is a tricky ball game. They lost on the road to ODU in a game that, ODU ends up being better than we thought, but just had all kinds of communication issues trying to defend instead of just keeping guys on the same side of the field. How long does it take to keep guys on the same side of the field, right? Like you get burned once, you get burned twice. You can't be having communication problems in the fourth quarter or in the third quarter. Anyway, and they got a new defensive coordinator maybe because of it. Then you get Tulane at home. Then you go to Wake. And then you get Southern Miss on the road. They got like a stretch in there in the middle. Like 4 of the 5 games are on the road. They get App State in the middle after their 5th game, after Southern Miss. App State's at home. But then it's like at Coastal. And then at somebody else, something like that. Or maybe it is Wake. It's at Wake, at Southern Miss, home versus App, at Coastal, and there's another one in there. But they have the odds in their favor because people are still trying to figure out Arkansas State. Show me what you can do. Kind of like we see you, Arkansas State, but prove it to us before we're in. And I'm probably going to be in. I'm probably going to go over. If Arkansas State's win total is 6.5, I'm probably going to go over. Let's see what that is. Let's see here. Red Wolves football schedule. All right, let's see here. They need 7 wins if it is. All right. Okay, Central Arkansas and Tulsa. Those are at home. We'll give them that. All right. Then they're going to play Michigan. Probably not going to win that ball game. I don't know if they're going to beat Iowa State. I don't know how good Iowa State is. You beat Iowa State, you may be in good shape, but probably not. So that's 2-2. Then they're home against South Alabama. You want to give them that win because they're at home? Okay. 3-2. At Texas State, probably not, because Texas State is going to remember that game. That Arkansas State put like up a 77 point against Texas State. That had a lot to do with turnovers in the kicking game. But so we won't say Texas State. So that's still 3. At Southern Miss, they're going to have to win that. Let's see if that's 4. They get Troy at home. That's going to be a tough one, but is that 5? They're at the Cajuns. Probably not. At Georgia State, that could be tough. And then you get ULM and ODU. So, I mean, they're kind of right on the line. All right. You can see they're going to have to win some games that they may not be favored to do so. But that's, you got the same coach and the same quarterback, Jalen Rayner and Butch Jones. South Alabama, Major Applewhite, promoted from within. So he's been there. This is his 4th year with South Alabama. So it's his offense. Gio Lopez, actually played a little bit last year. And so I have to ask, was Major Applewhite? Let me see here. Was Major Applewhite left-handed? Let me see here. Major. Why do I think that? When I really haven't, college football highlights. Let's see here. No, that's 2000. Okay, maybe not. No, maybe not. All right. I don't know why I thought it was right. Anyways, you're going to have to change the offense a little bit, I would think, for a left-handed quarterback. Anyways, so that's not a new quarterback and a new head coach. They've been there, but it's the first time they're doing it together, per se. And I presume they actually have an offensive coordinator. I think my tight ends coach became offensive coordinator over there. But still, it's the first time this group is doing it, not new to the program. All right. So that's different than what Troy's going to do, breaking in new quarterbacks and new coaching staff together, right? ULM turned over the whole thing. USM is probably going with, new quarterback, Tate Rodemaker. So I think the Cajuns numbers are based on everybody else kind of flipping over. And we'll see who the starting quarterback is. We don't know that either, right? Chandler Fields took all the snaps in the spring. Is Ben Woldridge going to be healthy? Give it up to Chandler for graduating, getting engaged, and coming back, although not always in that order. I think he decided to come back and then graduated and then got engaged. So he doesn't need to be here, right? He's ready to move on, right? He's not playing professional football. We don't think. But he's coming back to help out the Cajuns, right? And I'm not sure he was promised to start, with Ben hurt, but based on Woldridge's health, which has not been great, and that's been a problem for the Cajuns, right? Again, Napier had Levi Lewis start every game for 3 years, did miss one. Hudspeth had all those offensive linemen who'd never missed a thing. And in 2 years under Dez, he started 3 quarterbacks last year and, played 3 quarterbacks the year before. People are going to say that's an excuse. I see that as a reason. And that's a little different. So I'm not sure the Cajuns are overrated. They're kind of sitting at that 8-game win total as well. If I bet the over, let me see what we can see. That's a homer bet. Let's see if it's dropped, in fact. Let's see here. We can go back. I got both sports books here. DraftKings first. on the handy dandy phone. That's a little easier to get in. Let's see here. Sportsbook football. Not there. I got to search for it. Let's see here. Football. College football. Futures. Wins. Now we got to go through all this. Let's see. I did see Syracuse. Hold on. No. Did I see Syracuse? What was Syracuse? Syracuse is 7. Over is minus 120. 12-0, Samo. They're going 12-0. Syracuse has like the easiest schedule in the nation, apparently. Texas State's down to 8. Under is minus 140. Under? Over 8 is plus 110. Whoo-wee. South Alabama's over is 6.5. That's minus 155. That's interesting. All right. Let me see if maybe I can just search Louisiana. That may be easier. Okay, Cajuns. Team odds. No, team futures. No, that's all they have there. Let's see here. Oh, here you go. They're down to 7.5, but that's minus 155. They were 8.5. They're minus 155. Probably should have looked that up last night before we did the lockdown Sunbelt. I'll take the over there. I'll go 8. That's a big move, actually. Right? When you go from 8.5 to 7.5. But that's interesting because, again, even Cajuns fans were 8.5. That seems like a lot, right? So let's check out their schedule. Oh, we talked about that already. So you get App State at home. I mean, can you start out 4-1, beating Kennesaw State, beating Tulane, going to lose to Wake? Do you go on the road and beat Southern Miss? All right. They've lost to Southern Miss the last couple of years, right? They lost to them on the road. I think Southern Miss threw an interception on the first play of the game. And then I think Wooldridge had to force something into the end zone and couldn't complete the comeback. So if you start out 4-1, and yet this team could be 2-3, technically. If you beat Kennesaw State, but lose to Tulane, lose to Wake, and go on the road and lose to Southern Miss, and then you come home and play App State, you could be 2-4. But say they start out 4-1, you beat App State, that's 5-1. Lose to Coastal on the road, that's 5-2. I'll say lose to Texas State because Texas State will probably be favored. That's 5-3. Beat Arkansas State, that's 6-3. Beat South Alabama, that's 7-3. Beat Troy, that's 8-3. Beat ULM, that's 9-3. I may be pushing it. But now I got a little room to work with instead of, getting to 9 and it being 8.5. Now I have 7.5. I had a good year in futures a few years ago. Did not have a good year last year or the year before that. And somewhere along the way, I bet against the Patriots. I think I won that, though. All right, so go check that out. How about that line total has changed from 8.5, or that future total has changed from 8.5 to 7.5. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference. It is minus 155, so I don't know what it was at the time it came out. All right, let's see what else is going on. Cajuns did get a kicker punter from their own backyard, if you will. Braden Gilbo is from here, was going to ULM, or went to ULM, went to Southside, went to ULM, and is coming home. Remember, they already got a punter in the portal from SIU, I think. And they were ready to go with him. So maybe someone who just wanted to come home and play here for Lafayette. Now, of course, they're kind of set at that position. Like, that was the thing. I was asked by Howlraiser, Jeremy Harper from Fun Belt Sports PC podcast. who's the biggest transfer for the Cajuns, and it's got to be Fitzgerald West. Like they don't have a lot of guys. They don't have offensive linemen from the portal, right? They lost Chris and they lost Gant, but that was a long time ago. Like well before spring, right? Like Zion transferred right before it closed. He took the deadline. But even at that point in time, I'm sure, again, the Cajuns knew about it. And we'll see if he's the starting quarterback at Houston, and hopefully he got paid. Gant left. He probably got paid. But that's about it. They didn't lose a lot of guys like the basketball team. Like I think the football team lost less than the basketball team. Right? The basketball team was looking to get out. Now, having said that, the basketball team got a bunch of players, although they lost one of the guys that they got. I don't know if they over-recruited. But yeah, there's not a lot of guys. The guys that the Cajuns, outside of the kicker, which they knew they were going to get, which they knew they needed, and they got defensive tackle Fitzgerald West. Everybody else is like third string. Like they just got a bunch of guys that are adding for depth rather than going to play immediately, except maybe Samari Collier. All right, Collier. Except maybe the quarterback. So we'll see. Let's see what else is going on here. We had a good workout yesterday. Did eat. I got a big salad yesterday. They put so I like Panera. I do. I like the bagels. I like the chicken Caesar salad. It's easy. They kind of skimp on the dressing, but I got an extra dressing. They put a ton of chicken in this time. I mean, it was usually the chicken is gone in the first 3 or 4 bites. The ratio of chicken to lettuce felt like it was 1-to-1. Someone hooked me up. So that was kind of cool. So I ate that. I did get a Baskin Robbins, ice cream yesterday. So I didn't weigh in today. I was just under 215 when I weighed in yesterday after working out. So weighing in today is kind of after I work out because I'm going to eat breakfast, or at least a little bit of breakfast. All right. I got my protein shake, which settles. I'll just have like an English muffin with olive oil. So we'll see. We'll see if we can not pig out. I don't know if anybody else's family is like this, but my family is. The whole thing revolves around eating. My aunt, who's sadly passed away, she would organize this. She would come in, like a couple of days before everyone else would come in, and then write down all of the meals that we need from breakfast to lunch to dinner. We were going out. One week come in, we have a big thing. I think the dinosaur barbecue comes down and actually, cooks for us, which is pretty neat, on July 3rd. And it's a big party, and it's somewhere between, I'd say 50 to 75 people if we have, depending on how many of the cousins show up and their kids. The family itself could be 30 to 40, and then friends come in, and it's 50 to 75 people, which is pretty neat. But that's one meal you don't have to worry about. That could be 2 meals, right? That's kind of lunch and dinner. And then we have something going on July 4th, formally. But everyone else, where's breakfast? Where's lunch? Where's dinner? That's the thing. The whole thing is revolved around that. However, that's not going to happen until the first week of July. So I'm going home, on Sunday, and I'll try to eat. I mean, Mama Schultz is going to have brownies ready for me, going to have chocolate chip cookies ready for me. I may have to join the Y for a couple of weeks to get the lifting in. I'll still go to Orange Theory. Let me see what Orange Theory is. Usually not good at, I'm good at backing things up. So this podcast will still be going on at 7:55, Eastern time. So let's see when the classes are in Syracuse. Let's see. No. Let's see. Okay. Because I don't have to get up first thing in the morning to do this. I can always run. Okay. Also, by the way, the classes they fill up. Here in Lafayette, they do not fill up. Like today's class is not filled up. The first ones in the morning fill up. Like tomorrow, they already have 10 on the waiting list for the class that I'd like to go to. That's 6:15 in the morning. So see, I could do that one. That's a good class to go to. And then come back and do the show. But I bet you, yeah. So let's see. Mondays could be tough. Monday, I'm not landing until 2. Monday, I'm not going to get to bed till 2. But those are already filled up. That's crazy. Monday's already filled up. So I can go to like to the 8:45 class. When's the tread? The tread is at night. I'm not sure I'm going to be doing that. But these classes are already filled. That's crazy. And interesting how that works out. Louisville, they're filled. Mobile, they're filled. Lafayette, they're not. I've never understood that. And there's like 3 of these in Syracuse, but maybe 2 of them, and 2 of them are not near each other at all. So I got to plan ahead or go at a different time. Like, I got one at 8:45, so I could do a half an hour of the show and then go. It's only 15 minutes away from me. So, and then you got to go to the Y, get the lift in. So we'll figure it all out. But I got to plan ahead just to get into the classes. And if I can't get into the classes, I can go run up and down the street for 40 minutes. So we'll try to. Point is, try to not eat the junk food prior to everybody coming in, because that's where the chips come in and the junk food comes in. Although everyone tries to eat rather healthy, to be honest with you. A lot of the cooking's now, my cousin does a lot of the cooking. Sydney does a lot of the cooking, and she's really good at it. So we'll see. Les Miles is suing LSU. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? Trying to get him to get the wins back. I mean, this is money. Les Miles has filed a lawsuit against LSU, the NCAA, and the National Football Foundation. Miles is protesting his ineligibility for the Hall of Fame after LSU vacated 37 wins when he was the team's coach. I mean, are you kidding me? And so then the joke is suing for the offense and everything like that. I mean, he probably should be in the Hall of Fame. It obviously did not end well, right? Either at LSU or Kansas, right? Someone pointed out, he went 3-24 at Kansas, and if he'd won one more game, he'd get in. Why isn't he suing Kansas or Kansas suing him? LSU decided to vacate 37 of his wins from 2012 to 2015 due to a level 1 violation, paying the father of a recruit over $180,000 over a 5-year period. Is that the hospital deal? The dad got a job at the hospital. That means that right now, according to the record books, his overall record 108-73, which is 597 percentage. You need to be 60%. Like the PGA Tour, same thing. To get in the Hall of Fame, it's not it's not subjective. You get in based on the amount of wins that you get. It's not baseball or football. All right. Oh, he was, with that being said, he was 3-18 in his 2 years of Kansas. 3-18. So not great. All right. Let's see what else we got going here. Panthers watching hockey. And I'm actually really thrilled that my nephew's watching hockey. I'm not the biggest fan, and certainly I don't think he's watched an ounce of hockey until this year. He's, again, a voracious tweeter, so he's doing everything that happens in the game. But he was watching the game. I was doing Lockdown Sunbelt when it was 2-0, and then it got to 3-0, and I thought it was over, and then it was 4-2 heading into the third, and the Panthers scored early and certainly had some chances, lose 5-3 on an open netter. I don't think it's over. I think they woke up the sleeping giant. They're having fun on the Lebitard show about being overrated. Connor McDavid, but I think I think the series actually turned in game 3 when they got a couple of goals, made it 4-1 game, 4-3, and they haven't stopped since. All right, they scored 5 yesterday, scored 8 the game before. That's 13. I mean, they've scored 15 goals in the last 8 periods. No, 7 periods. I think it's over. I think it's over. I'd be shocked if the Panthers won. I do. I think it's over. I think Edmonton's going to come from behind to win. In fact, I thought I heard somebody say that for the first time in history, a team down 3-0 went on the road and won game 5. Forget coming back from 3-0. They hadn't even ever done that in an NHL Finals. I don't know about the playoff series, but in an NHL Finals. So, and it's different than the NBA. Like Stu Gatz is saying, the Celtics didn't play very well in game 4, and they went home and destroyed the Mavericks in game 5, and that's what the hockey will do. But that's basketball, so different than hockey, right? Because you can stand on your head in hockey and get all these saves, and they're so close to being goals to begin with. I mean, the Panthers missed maybe 2 handfuls of shots that could have tied the ball game up, and who knows what happens at that point in time. But the saves that Bob was making to begin with, not making anymore. And Florida was dominating this series 2 2/3 games in and have been dominated since. So I do think series acting up. I do think it's over. I think they're going to, I think the Oilers are going to win it. All right. I'm rooting for the Panthers. I don't really know why, other than I like the Levitard show. I used to cover the Panthers. George Richards is the longtime Panthers beat writer for numerous publications. And so, George actually taught me a lot. Like I'm very leery of asking stupid questions. So you go in the locker room, and my job was to get sound and cut it up and send it to the morning show. And this is when the Panthers were always fighting for, just getting into the playoffs. Meanwhile, the President's Cup. And I just remember talking to George, and one of the better defensemen, I don't remember his name, but he was a little dude. I mean, we're talking under 6 foot. We're talking like maybe 5'9", but just a really good defender. And I asked George, I go, George, is that typical of the NHL? I mean, I'm bigger than that guy, right? And usually defensemen, 6'2", 6'3", big dudes, right? This guy was a little pesky defender, and I thought he was his best, the best defender, but he was a little guy. And so George taught me a lot, talking to the goalies and talking to, just the players and the coaches, right? I want to make sure I get this right, because this guy has coached forever. It is Pete DeBoer was the coach. And he was actually a very nice man. I was only really covering them for a year, and it was a struggle. I think he got them to the playoffs. They were going to go up against the Devils. I think they lost to the Devils. They had a good run, but I mean, he's been in forever. Did he win one with Vegas? Keeps on getting jobs all over the place. Saw him out socially one night. He was very nice. It was a Make-A-Wish thing. He was a very nice man. So maybe that's why I'm rooting for the Panthers. I used to cover them. I see, get George. Oh, and then my guy, Steve Goldstein, is the TV voice. Kevin Rogers, who's come on my show a lot. He's pre and post. I think the radio guy called hockey games in Syracuse. I don't really know him. Is it Doug Plagans? I don't know Doug, but I think he was in Syracuse. But I know the guys who cover the team. So it'd be fun for them to win it. All right. Let's see. That may be about it again. Let's see. And there's got to be a better way for me to do this. LSU gets an Auburn outfielder from the portal. Okay. I guess it's nice that they got somebody from Auburn. Former Auburn outfielder announces transfer to SEC rival. Okay. Chris Stanfield left. Stanfield departs Auburn after hitting 278. This is over 2 years. 278, 97 hits, 7 home runs, and 47 RBIs with 18 stolen bases. All right. In 2024, finished fourth on the team in hits and 53, tied for second in stolen bases with 9, fifth in RBIs. All right, so he's still pretty young, but is that where we are with LSU? Again, I'm not sure what the whole plan is here with the portal guys. You know, taking a lot of guys from G5s, and hopefully they can compete at this level. It's a big step up. Let's see what Dylan Cruz. I'll tell you something else I had wrong yesterday. My buddy with the Rochester Red Wings asked, where did Dylan Cruz hit in the lineup? And for some reason in my head, he'd always batted leadoff. But that wasn't the case. He didn't bat leadoff until the SEC tournament. He's hitting third all year long. Like Dugas would lead off, and Trey Morgan would be in front of him, and he would hit third, and Tommy White would hit fourth. And then Jay Johnson switched that up. So let's see what happened yesterday. That actually happened to be in Syracuse. They did lose 12-2. I don't know how good they are. But they lost 12-2 yesterday. Do we have... We don't have box scores? Let me see here. Game-by-game results. Interesting if they're pushing Dylan a little bit too far, too fast. I hope that's not the case, right? Because usually you want to get about, honestly, 1,500 at-bats in the minor leagues. I'll tell you how good Rochester is. I'll check out the standings here. Again, I don't really know. Sometimes I may not even be able to get to this. Let's see here. Game day. All right. So Syracuse won 12-2. Dylan Cruz 0-5. I don't know who pitched for the Mets. I don't even know who these are. So Syracuse is AAA of the Mets. Someone named Scott gave up 1 run on 6 base hits. Christian Scott. I don't know anything about him. Let's see. Went to Florida. From Florida, Coconut Creek. Drafted 2001 by the Mets. 5th round pick. Let's see what his stats are. I got no idea who Christian Scott is. All right. Also, so in the minors, they want you to get 1,500 at bats for the most part. Maybe not for the second pick in the draft, but they want you to do about 450 innings as well before you get to the big leagues. Maybe not a 5th round pick from Florida, but we'll see. So in his minor league career, which he pitched very little, 3 innings when he got drafted in 21, but he's pitched in 22 and 23. 187 and 2/3 innings pitched, 152 base hits. He's only given up 1 unearned run, so the defense has played pretty well behind him. That's not bad. 68 runs, 67 earned. Let's see, what do we have in ERA? What that is? 3.21 ERA. I mean, that's pretty solid. He struck out 237, and he's walked 44. Opponents are hitting 218 against him in the career. This year in Syracuse, I mean, this guy's going to get promoted. What are the Mets waiting for? He's 3-0 in 8 starts with 2.82 ERA. Hasn't pitched that much. 38 and a third innings. I mean, that's not 5 innings an outing. 25 base hits. He has given up 9 home runs. That's not great. He struck out 52 and walked 9. I mean, this Christian Scott guy is pretty good. He's going to be in the big leagues here. 6'4", 215. I'm not going to say I remember him from Florida. So let's see what the standings are. See what these guys look like. Well, Syracuse is really good. So that's the Mets again. Rochester is 12 games back. Syracuse is 43-26. The Yankees, if you will, Scranton is 41-29, and Rochester is 36-32. So they're not bad, although they do have a run differential of minus 25. Let's see the stats. Do we have stats? Because, I mean, Christian Scott's got to be in the leaders here, right? Strikeouts? No. So innings pitched. So Tyler Phillips of Lehigh Valley has pitched 80 innings. I mean, he is way down. Let me see if he's missed a time. Yeah, he's not in the top 50 innings pitched or 75. Christian Scott is 81st in the International League. Let me see if we got game by game. Do we have game by game? Stats. I don't know why I'm doing this for him. Game logs. Let me see. No, he started each and every game. I don't know if he's on a pitch count or not because he's got 3 2/3 innings, 41 1/3, or 4 1/3. He's got a 6-inning game in there, another 6-inning game, 6 2/3. So maybe he's just on a pitch count, a very restrictive pitch count. But he's pretty good. Dylan 0-for-5 last night. So at a rough start for the former LSU Tiger. That's got to be tough, right? Think about, hopefully soon, I'm going to start a new job. Think about what it's like starting a new job. And, you probably know the guys who are up there because you were in spring training with them. But you're taking someone's spot. And then you start out 0-for-5. I don't know. Let's see who's in. See if we recognize any of the guys in the lineup. All right. Cruz, Wood. I don't know any of these guys. Cruz, Wood. Let's see who Wood is. James Wood. I don't know any. He was, here you go. He was the Padres' second-round pick out of IMG. And he's hitting 351. He's having a really good year. His career he's got 1,000 ABs. And he's hitting 301 in his minor league career. So he's doing well there. I don't know any of these guys. I've been out of the minor league ball game for a while. Harold Ramirez. I don't know him. He's played in the big leagues, though. He looks like he's having a good year. Hitting 287. Is that right? No, he's hitting 268 this year. Got a career 307 batting average. So, yeah, again, we're not going to know any of these guys. Adams, Yepes, Clough, Dunn, Baker. Yeah, we don't know too many of these guys. Yeah, they got hit around pretty good. So did the back of the bullpen. So we'll keep our eyes on Cruz. I don't know if I'm actually going to specifically bump into Dylan. I am planning on going to Rochester on a week from tomorrow. So I'm going home on Sunday. They happen to be in Syracuse this week, which would have been nice if I was there, but they happen to have a day game on Thursday. So I think my nephew's coming in, gonna pick him up from the airport and drop him off at home with Mama Schultz, and then head off to Rochester, and then spend the day and evening in Rochester. Go out to dinner. We'll see if we can bump into Dylan and say hi. Again, he came on my show. He doesn't know who I am. I can thank him for coming on the show. And, what's the minors been like, and kind of probably dealing with struggles probably for the first time in his baseball career. Let's see what his LSU stats were, right? Obviously they were huge numbers last year, but was he that good when he showed up? Let's see here. Stats. Yeah, freshman year, 362. He had more walks and more strikeouts and walks, but 44 to 39 is ridiculous. Hit 18 home runs, drove in 42. In his sophomore year, 349. 56 strikeouts to 42 walks, still really good. 22 home runs to 72 runs batted in, outstanding. And then he hit 426 his senior year or junior year. Goodness, right? Remember, he was hitting 500 for a lot of it. Here's the big numbers: 71 walks to 46 strikeouts. That's outrageously good. And that's not what it is this year. He's got 18. Last year, he had 18 home runs and 70 runs batted in. Let me see. Can we see what he did? Let me see what he did. Like, how many times did he strike out last night? No, he didn't strike out last night. All right. Didn't walk either. But it does have, ABs, runs, hits, RBIs, walks. And you can look this up. Just Google search Rochester Red Wings if you want to follow. You can listen to them probably on TuneIn or maybe the Red Wings app if you guys want to do that. All right. We've been doing this about an hour, and we had over 50 at one point in time. Really appreciate it. It is growing. We're getting like 100 per episode, so that's great. Maybe I need to do a little bit more work on my end with the analytics and the algorithms and stuff like that. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Please subscribe. Don't forget about Lockdown Sunbelt. We did a whole thing on, the Ragin Cajuns Overrated. And, we could, expectations for App State, expectations for Arkansas State. And we did the Bobcats a couple of days ago. Is this the year of the Bobcats? I happen to think it is. That's me. I happen to think it is. All right. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great day. Oh, by the way, as far as what I got going on, something else is going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen following that. We could have an update here. Again, I thought we were going to have an update last week, and that was swiped away from me. So, again, when I say this is all over, when I finally have gainful employment again, I will fill in on what went down here over the last couple of months, because it is something that I've never experienced. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.